take some time getting settled in and just kind of notice if there's any props you want to use here. This is our position for centering today. And if we get distracted by discomfort in the body, then it's hard to center, whether that's seated or lying down. So, noticing if you would like a little extra cushion, just a little blanket underneath your tailbone or support for your head. I'm going to encourage or invite you to keep the knees bent for now, rather than extending the legs along the floor in Shavasana, just to be in a slightly more active pose as we prepare for practice. And I find it comfortable to take my feet just a little bit wider than my hips and just let the knees fall in so they lean up against each other. That's not comfortable for everybody. So, if you need to just keep them parallel or upright, that's okay. If you can lean them in, it really allows the lower half of the body to relax a little bit more, and the legs are holding themselves up. And just notice any tension you may be carrying in the body. Invite it to relax. So that might be through facial muscles, the neck or the shoulders. Allow the spine to be supported in the mat and in the floor, the earth. Allowing a sense of heaviness to overcome you. And in that heaviness, know that you're held. So there's this kind of play with letting go into the earth and at the same time feeling light as she holds us, cradles us, and nourishes. Take a moment to notice the areas of the body connecting into the earth, so the back of your head and the upper back, your tailbone, your bottoms of your feet, maybe the upper arms and elbows, right? You're just noticing, feeling that connection. And then notice the space. Notice the areas of the body that are not in the floor, but maybe you feel a light breeze on the skin, or you feel your clothing, right? The whole front of the body. You can feel the belly rising and falling. There's space to move the belly. Connecting into the solidity beneath us and the spaciousness above. Take some time to observe your breath rising and falling, moving in through the nostrils. And you choose today, do you want to exhale out through the nostrils or very slowly out through the mouth? Connecting into what resonates with you in this moment. As we dropped into the physical body and notice the breath, we also want to notice where the mind, the mental body is residing today. If there's some stories it's hanging on to, or maybe there's some emotions there at the surface. Just recognizing what's coming up for you. And to really embrace this practice as a place of nurturance for yourself and allowing it to meet you where you are. The practice itself doesn't judge, doesn't try to fix, just embraces us. You can just slowly lengthen the breath, deepening it, but it's still comfortable. Nothing's stressed or strained, rather creating any strain or stress or forced. But there's a smooth, continuous flow to your breath. The inhale, transitioning into the exhale. And the exhale, transitioning into the inhale as smoothly as possible. Just feeling that continuous flow. I'm going to share with you a reading this morning. It's from a book called I Am Her Tribe. And I think it's fitting for today and just to take this as a food for thought into our practice together. Friction doesn't have to be some dark and scary thing we should avoid eye contact with. Without it, there would be no change. Friction is what pulls our greatness out from under the sheets. It calls us from our darkest corners of hiding and invites us to grow from our broken cracks and crevices. Sometimes this looks like letting go, and sometimes even letting in. Friction breaks our hearts open to a new capacity for receiving. It brings us down to our knees of clarity, allowing us to gather what is left in our hands, only opening our palms wide enough to hold what's of value and in alignment with who we are now. And here, after we have cleared the river, we emerge into a being that is softer, stronger, more loving, and grateful. It is our most challenging seasons that serve as our greatest teachers. So we can start with this practice, receiving this practice, allowing it to teach us, to show us. And each day, whatever life offers, is an opportunity to learn more about who we are. And it's also an opportunity to remember that our deepest essence, our truth, is of peace and bliss and love. And I believe it helps us, to help us remember that, we start with ourselves. We start with that loving unconditionally ourselves. And one of the ways we can show that unconditional love is the choices that we make for ourselves in the practice. So we honor who's on the mat, and those choices honor by nurturing and nourishing. So may your choices today nourish and nurture the person that's arrived here. Continue with that nice, smooth breath. Maintaining that nice, even, continuous flow. And the breath is about an 85% of full capacity. Let's begin with some movement by drawing the knees into the chest. Maintaining that breath. As we pull the knees in close, we're compressing ourselves, making ourselves smaller. We let the air out. Let the belly draw back towards the spine. Pull or hug the knees in. And then when you're ready for that inhale, slowly take the breath in, extending the arms away or the knees away, arm lengths away. And then exhale, pull them in towards you. And so we're maintaining that smooth, even flow of breath. And not allowing the breath to guide us instead of matching the breath to the movement. So we slow the movement down to meet the breath. So even in the fall season that we have right now, things are really dry. We have more wind or breezes that come and go. It's considered Vata season. So even though we're in movement, we've slowed it down enough that it's still grounding. And then we'll take this movement from here and begin to create some nice circles with the knees. Keep the knees together and just slowly circle them around, maintaining that breath. Circling the sacrum, pelvis, slow back a bit. A little massage. As we come into the movements that we're most familiar with, it really is beneficial to come to that beginner's mind. Right? So if you were exploring this for the first time, what are you feeling? What are you noticing? What's your experience? Eventually circling the other way. Noticing how this might feel, just changing directions. When you feel you've circled equally this the other direction, let's place our feet in the floor. And we'll either place them hip width apart or you can go as wide as your mat. And I'll leave that up to you as to what feels best for you. We're going to come into our double knee drop. On an exhale, releasing the knees to one side. Inhale, open the top knee. Legs open up, or the inner thighs open up as wide as they will allow. The bottom follows. And exhale, release to the other side. And again, the breath is leading, so maintain that nice, smooth, extended breath. Inhaling, the legs open. Exhale, they drop into a twist. Taking your time. Especially if it's been a while since you've been on your mat. Just honor that. Care for yourself. And then we'll go a few more rounds, and if you'd like to involve your head, you can rotate it in the opposite direction the knees go. And then we invite the spine into a very subtle, very gentle twist. From the neck all the way to the lumbar spine. The next time the knees release to the right, let's hold here. And this will be more or less the typical pattern for the practice. We'll move in and out of the poses a bit. We'll come in and hold. Allowing that top knee to just softly weight itself. Right? Or if you have a blanket or even a block, just that little bit of extra weight, you can do that. You can place that there if that's something you want to do. But really you don't have to. It's just enough of a stretch through that left side body, through the hip and the IT band. We're just warming up, inviting our bodies gently into the practice. Let's take 3 more nice, smooth breaths here. And then your next inhale, open the legs wide and slowly and mindfully release the knees to the other side. You can keep the gaze straight up to the ceiling or rotate your head the opposite direction of the knees. And find your nice smooth breath here. Breathing into that right side body, hip, IT band. And wherever else you may be feeling this, just make sure it's a very gentle stretch and modify something if it's not. We're not looking for intensity here. Take about 2 to 3 more breaths here. And then we'll bring the knees back upright and into the chest again. Just draw the knees in. A little apanasana, or maybe it would feel good to just hug the knees close and pause. Let's extend the left leg out along the floor. We'll keep the right knee hugging in close. And then we'll just move side to side with this right knee. So when you're ready on an exhale, the right knee opens to the right, left arm extends out. The inhale, we bring the knee back to center, take it in the left hand, extend the right. As you exhale across the body, just a modified twist. You don't have to take this to your maximum edge. Inhale back to center, knee in the right hand, extend the left, exhale open wide. And just again, breath leads the movement. So keeping it slow and steady, and the breath long and smooth. You can also get the head involved here like we did with the double knee drop and rotate it the opposite direction you're taking the knee. Or keep the gaze straight up to the ceiling. The next time you draw the knee across the body into a twist, we're going to hold. And just hold gently here in this twist. Again, just moderate level. We're not taking this to our maximum. And then the gaze can stay up to the ceiling, or you can rotate it to the right. And steady breath. And on your inhale, bring that knee back to center, hug it in towards the chest, extend that through both heels, feet are active. Just a nice stretch through the inner thigh, through the groin, and down through the left thigh. And then slowly switch. Draw the left knee into the chest, extend the right leg along the floor. Take your time, very mindfully switching positions. Hug that left knee in. And then on your next exhale, open that knee wide to the left, extend the right arm. Inhale, bringing that knee back to center, take it in your right hand, extend the left, and exhale, minimally across the body. And then again, on your own, inhale each time the knee comes back to center, and alternately exhale wide and into a twist. Taking a few rounds on this side before we engage with the head. Check things out, just feel into it. Just notice what's coming up for you here on this side. And then the next few rounds, if you'd like to involve the head, go ahead. Rotate it the opposite direction, the knees going. Continue to match the movement to the extended breath, really taking our time, slowing this all down, staying grounded, feeling stable. And the next time you come into your twist, pause and hold. Breath is steady. You can rotate the head if you choose. And then on that next inhale, bring the knee back to center. Hug that knee in close as you can. Press out through both feet. Just feel a stretch slightly through the inner thigh and the groin. And then go ahead and extend that left leg along the floor to meet the right. Stretching overhead, just taking a nice reaching with fingers and toes, full body stretch. And then give yourself a little hug. Wrap the arms around the shins as you pull the knees in, and then if it feels safe on your neck, you can bring the head off the floor. And maybe a little rolling side to side. And then go ahead and place the left foot in the floor. We're going to stay here just a little longer. And we're going to interlace our hands, or one hand on top of the other, whichever is most comfortable to you, behind the right thigh. And connecting with that smooth breath, we inhale, extend that right foot towards the ceiling. And exhale, bend. Slow, extended, continuous breath. And the movement matches the breath. We extend on inhale, bend on exhale. Just listen to what the body has to say here, what you're feeling, and be kind with your thoughts, patient with yourself. And then the next time you come into extension, go ahead and pause. Just hold in a soft stretch here in the back of the leg. Flexing the foot, we bring the stretch into the calf. Let's go ahead and actually move through the ankle here a little bit. So let's point and flex. As you point, you can feel the stretch move into the shin, and as you flex into the calf, maybe even into the back of the knee a bit. And then we take the foot and circle it in one direction. As we brought our focus into moving the foot, what happened to the breath? So if anything, you might have maintained that nice smooth breathing, but if it's been dropped off, come back to it and circle the foot the other way. And just take 3 more breaths. You can either point or flex, whatever feels right for you. And then we'll release this. Go ahead and extend the right leg along the floor for a moment. Just kind of gently shake it side to side. And then we'll place that right foot into the floor, extend or place the hands behind the left thigh. And same thing here. Let's go ahead and inhale, extend. Exhale, bend. Notice if there's anything different that you're experiencing on this side. Just recognizing what we feel without judgment. Instead, I'd invite you to come into the mindset of curiosity. And the next time you inhale and extend the leg, let's go ahead and pause, gentle stretch, which for some of you may mean bending the knee, that's okay. And then let's go ahead and point and flex the foot, maintain that smooth, extended flow of breath. Feel the shin and the calf. And taking the foot and circling it around. So just gently creating some nice movement in the ankle joint. And then circling the other way. Come back to center, flex or point, that's up to you, and just about 3 more breaths here. And then go ahead and release that left leg out along the floor and gently shake it side to side. And then we'll go ahead and bend both knees, feet in the floor. Remove anything you have underneath your head. Just move that out of the way. And then we're going to come into a moving bridge here. Okay, so go ahead and place your arms by your side, palms down. Feet are parallel, 4 to 6 inches from your buttocks. So you want to feel like your feet are directly underneath your knees. And that gives you more leverage. When the feet are farther away from us, what we end up doing is pressing the feet away from us, and we end up extending everything out and away from the head and the feet. Whereas if your feet are underneath the knees, that enables you to press into the feet and bring the hips straight up. So really just kind of be aware of that positioning. It's important. Okay. So from here, we'll go ahead and just leave the arms by your side for a moment. Start to peel the spine up off the floor. So I'm really tucking my tailbone under, feeling my low back flatten into the floor, and then vertebra by vertebra, just rolling up to the place that's comfortable for you. Okay, it doesn't have to be very high. And then on your exhale, you slowly bring it back down. So you might have remembered I've used the analogy or the image of a piece of tape, right? We take the tape up off the roll. We don't want to have any wrinkles in it. We try to keep it from twisting. And then we place that piece of tape down onto, let's say we're wrapping a present. And again, you're just putting the spine back into the floor with no creases. The tape. That helps. Just kind of think of that as a little massage as we move up and back down, all along the spine. Just taking our time. The breath is the guiding force here. Slow the movement down to meet the breath. Now, you can keep the arms next to you, or if you'd like to get them involved with the pose, as you inhale the hips up, bring both arms overhead. Leave the arms there as you slowly roll the spine back down. Just feel a nice stretch, underarm, through the shoulders, side body, even into the chest. And then inhale back up. And then exhale, lower the arms and the hips back down. So once again, we've done this a lot. What changes or shifts for you if you come into a beginner's mind? You're exploring this movement for the first time. Inhaling the hips up, bringing the arms overhead. Gaze stays straight up to the ceiling, please. Exhale, just the spine and the hips. Leave the arms. Inhale, lifting the hips, peel the spine back up off the floor. And exhale, everything back down together. One more time. Inhale, hips up, arms overhead. Exhale over the hips. Inhale, bring the hips back up. And this time, leave the hips up, but lower the arms. Now from here, you can choose to draw those shoulders underneath you, open the heart, full length of the arm, including the palms in the floor. Neck is neutral, gaze straight up to the ceiling. Relax the buttocks. Dvipada, two-legged table. You could stay here, or I'll give you the option to interlace the hands underneath you. You can roll the shoulders under you even more, opening and lifting through the chest. And breathe. You have the option to take a block and place it underneath your sacrum if you would choose to do this in a more restorative position. It's a nice option rather than just coming out of the pose altogether. And would still have just as many great benefits. Let's take about 3 more breaths here. Releasing on the third exhale or so. Just release the shoulders, slowly roll the spine down. Arms by your side, palms down. Just feel the practice so far, noticing any subtle sensations, or maybe there's some tingling. Just really noticing the energy body. And then we'll go ahead and roll to one side and find our way to hands and knees. If you have 2 blocks, let's go ahead and place them on either side of the mat. We're going to not use them yet, so just make sure they're not on your mat. From hands and knees, let's go ahead and find our way into cat-cow. And exhaling round. And inhaling, soften the heart towards the earth, lift the head, lift the tail. Exhaling into cat pose. Inhaling cow, just a gentle back bend. Please keep the core engaged though. Okay, so navel gently hugs in towards the spine. Helps to protect our low backs. And then when you're ready, we'll take this into our Chakravarkasana. So as you inhale into that gentle back bend, the exhale brings you into a child's pose or modified. You don't have to go back all the way if you're not able. Inhale back up to hands and knees. So again, the breath creating the movement, which should be nice and slow. Okay, because the breath is extended, we're taking our time. And you're still welcome to exhale through the mouth if that's resonating with you this morning. Inhale through the nose, and then you choose if you want to exhale through the nostrils or through the mouth. Just noticing what's resonating with you, but inhaling through the nose acts as a filter. It filters the air that we breathe. And it also enables us or reminds us to stay in a place that's of balance in the practice, that we're not putting in so much effort that we're having to breathe through the mouth the whole time. This is a kind of a gauge. And then on your next exhale, if you're ready, let's find our first down dog. Curling the toes under, taking the tailbone high into the sky. And then let's go ahead and walk this one out. So pedal the feet, bend the knees, shift through the hips. Really kind of moving through the spine. Exploring, getting creative, just having some, in a sense, almost playful movements in the practice. And when you feel complete with that, inhale to the knees. And exhale back into a child's. And we're just going to come into our flow for a few rounds. Right, and then we're going to decide where we'd like to hold. So inhaling, hands and knees. Exhale, down dog. Inhale back to hands and knees. Keep that inhale extended, don't rush it. And exhale back into that child's. So on your own, just take your time, inhaling to knees and alternately exhaling between down dog and child's. On any given day, there's a pose that's really feeling juicy or nourishing or just really good. So if you were to just take a moment as you move through this flow to notice whether that's down dog or child's pose that you're preferring to hold in for a few breaths. And of course, listen, if it's a whole different pose that you'd like to do, honor that, go there. And wherever that is, take several breaths there. So I'm going to find down dog. Some of you might find child's pose. Some of you might want to go out onto the belly and just lie and breathe there for a moment. But we're going to take about 5 or 6 breaths wherever you're choosing to hold, really softening into the pose so you can find the integrity, find the alignment, and then just soften everything with the breath. And then when you're complete, wherever you are, let's go ahead and meet at hands and knees. Come back to a little cat-cow. And then let's go ahead and bring the right foot forward into a low lunge. And here's where we can bring our blocks into the practice if you would like to. We place the hands on our blocks. You've got 3 different levels. Remember, be willing to play. Some days I love bringing my blocks to level 3. Just that extra height that just feels spacious and open. So play with that a little bit, explore. Again, that idea of beginner's mind and having some fun and just being creative in the practice, change things up. So from here, we'll go ahead, inhale forward into that lunge. Kind of check out your foundation here, please, and make sure that as you Softly release into that hip flexor that your right knee stays behind the toes. Yeah. So make an adjustment, bringing the foot and the knee farther apart if it's not. And then exhale, we release back, and maybe you bring the toes up off the floor, or maybe you keep the foot pointed. But we're gonna move back and forth here. You all know the lunge rock quite well. Inhale forward, and exhaling back. Just always taking that time in the beginning to find that foundation before we drop in and move. It's to see really how you're feeling, what's coming up for you in your physical body. To take that beginner's mind and really discover what would serve you today, and not assume that how you set yourself up the last time you were on your mat is right today, right? Again, the breath, that long, extended, smooth breath is what's guiding the movement. The next time you come forward into your lunge, we're going to pause here for a moment. Take the right heel and the left knee, try to pull them together. It's just an isometric movement. Right? You'll feel your core lift slightly, and it really activates that left hip flexor. Then from there, you can slowly release into the stretch if you choose, or you might have enough stretch right where you were. Okay? Now we're going to come in here and hold with the breath in this stretch. Let's take 2 more breaths here. And then exhale, draw back into a little deeper hamstring stretch than we found on our backs earlier. You can continue to fold forward over this leg, keeping the blocks closer to your foot. You can also opt to bring the blocks back a little bit, bring the toes up off the floor. You'll find a lift in the upper body, which just kind of notice what the experience is for you. That might have released the stretch a bit. And then from here, making sure that instead of rounding our low backs, we're going to look to extending them. And then you're going to feel that stretch in the hamstring a bit more. And breathe here. And let's go ahead and release that. Bring the blocks forward if you did bring them back. Come on up, bringing your hands to your right thigh. Spine is tall. You can softly release into the hip flexor if you want to, but we're going to do more of just a low lunge, bringing the arms overhead. Palms face one another, shoulders down away from the ears. Okay, but if you wanted to drop into that stretch and lift and open the heart, coming into what we might call a crescent moon, you can, or you can keep this more minimal, stay upright and not really release into that hip flexor. You can even keep the hands low at the heart or even on the thigh if you want. And so finding your expression here, it might even be interlacing the hands behind you. And if that's the case, keep the shoulders down and back. Bring the arms up off the low back, opening the heart, and breathe here. Let's take 2 more breaths here. And fold forward, bringing both hands to either side of that foot. Press back into down dog. Walk that out a bit. And we'll come to the knees. And if it's available, come back into child's pose. Take a couple of breaths here. If it's not, you're welcome to come onto the belly for a moment. We'll do the low lunge on the other side. Just feel the practice so far. Notice the difference between the right and left sides of the body. Feeling the echo of the practice. And then the inhale will bring us back to hands and knees, and we'll bring the left foot forward into the low lunge. Once again, setting ourselves up in our foundation first. So as you come forward, just noticing that left knee and that it's staying behind the toes. And when you feel safe in your foundation, we'll start to rock back and forth. Exhale, draw us back. Inhale, we come forward, lifting the heart. There's a sense of expansion as we come forward, and a sense of contraction or going inward when we draw back. And the next time you come forward, pause, pull the left heel, right knee, like you're trying to pull them together. Once you have that action and the core is strong, you can softly release into that right hip flexor. Just finding the stretch that's right for you. It's gentle. And maintain that nice, smooth, extended breath. Take a couple more breaths here. And then we'll go ahead and draw back. And again, you have the option to keep the blocks out in front of you, just folding over that leg, or draw them back slightly. Just feel into whether or not you want to keep the foot pointed and feel the stretch more through the shin, or bring it into the heel, lifting the toes and feel it more in the calf. And we come back to that low back, right? So making sure that we extend the low back. We're anteriorly tipping the pelvis. Feel that hamstring stretch. Just lengthen that out. Breathe here. couple more breaths here. And then we'll go ahead and bend that front knee. Find your lunge by just beginning with bringing your hands to your thigh. And again, you can stay in more of a neutral position with the lower half of the body, or if you want to hug that knee and heel together, feel the core activate and your hip flexor, then release into it. As you bring the arms overhead, you can, or just stay in a more neutral position. We've already gotten into a nice stretch there, so maybe just being in a more neutral position feels better. And then you decide the expression in the upper body. All the same options apply, and breathe. Let's take 2 more breaths here. And then we'll go ahead and fold forward, press back into down dog, walk that out a bit. And then inhaling to the knees, and once again you have the option to drop back into a child's pose, or maybe if your knees don't permit, you want to lie on the tummy, that's fine too. You can take a block also for your third eye to rest on if you are dropping back into child's pose. It's kind of nice. It quiets the mind if you need that. And regardless of the position you chose, breathe into the back body. The belly's compressed. So expand as much as you can into the belly, and then feel the low and mid back open up with the breath, and making room for that air. Alright, so let's find our way up. We're going to come to a seated position. If you have a strap available, go ahead and take hold of that. And also, if you have fascia balls available, you may use them. Most of you may not, but some of you might want to. Okay, so we're going to extend our legs straight out in front. And for those who have tighter hamstrings, it might be really nice to take the fascia balls right underneath your knees. Or for other reasons, even if like the knees are just not comfortable being locked out, or the balls are just a really nice gentle pressure point back there. So you're welcome to use those, okay? And then we're gonna take our strap. If you have one, if you don't, you'll simply be moving in and out without a strap. You can do this pose without one, it's fine. But if you do have one, you're gonna place it around the balls of your feet, and you might have to bend your knees to get there. Okay, I slid my hands down my strap so that my upper arm bones are close to my side body, right? So I'm not out here creating stress in my upper body. Okay, spine is tall, feet are flexed. From here, I'm going to simply and softly, slowly just pull my heart forward towards my toes. I'm keeping the spine extended, right? As opposed to rounding and drawing my nose to my knees, it's like I'm trying to touch my nose to my toes. And we're just gonna move in and out very slowly here, several rounds. The exhale brings you into the stretch. And the inhale lifts you back up. And the strap just brings nice leverage to move in and out with less workload on the low back. Just sit sideways so you can see it that way too. And then on your next exhale, we'll go ahead and come in and hold in the stretch. For some of you, you can release the strap altogether. You might be able to take your peace fingers to your big toe and pull forward, or maybe today it just feels nice to stay more minimal with the stretch, even if you can do that. Navel to spine, spine extended, and breath flowing. Shoulders down and back, heart open. So Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold. Let's take about 3 more breaths here. And then slowly come up out of the pose. Feel that, shake that out a little bit. And then we're going to come into a bit of a twist here. So go ahead and bend the right knee, and that foot can stay, the right foot next to the left inner thigh or up and over. I'm actually going to remove the blanket I'm sitting on for this one for a twist. Okay. Left arm wraps around the right knee, right hand behind you. Get this to move, there we go. And we're going to take our right hip and actually slide it back a bit. So we unsquare the pelvis, which eases the sacrum. Okay. And then from here, we'll exhale, twisting the upper body around. Take the gaze out through the right shoulder, and then unwind and face front again. Face forward. And then exhale into the twist. And inhale, face forward. And then this time we'll come in and hold. Exhale into the twist. Shoulders stay down and back, heart open. If for whatever reason the neck is feeling tight or any tension, to look over the shoulder, you can look straight ahead. Or even as you're twisting your body this way, The gaze can come slightly forward if that feels more natural to your neck today. So really listen to your body. And your next exhale, slowly unwind. Extend that right leg along the floor. Shake that out a little bit. Okay. And then we'll switch sides. Bend the left knee. Again, the foot can stay to the inner thigh or up and over. Spine is tall. Right arm around that left knee, left hand behind you, and take that left hip back. Press into that left hand, lengthen that spine. Exhale, twist, open the heart to the left. Inhale, come back forward again. Exhale into the twist. Inhale forward. And exhale into the twist. This time we'll hold. Long, extended, steady breath. Modify where your gaze is according to how your neck feels. Shoulders down and back. Heart open. Let's take 2 more breaths here. The inhale, you unwind. Extend the left leg, shake that out a bit. And then we're gonna go ahead and come into a bound angle pose. So if you have 2 blocks, that'll be handy, or you can get 2 same-sized pillows. I think most of you have blocks. And some of you may not even need them. Okay? You're open enough that you won't need those. All right, so we're gonna bring the soles of our feet together. The first thing to pay attention to is taking care of the knees. So the closer you bring your feet in towards the groin, it can feel a little bit more tension in the knees, and the farther away, the less tension. Okay, so that's the first thing you want to discover. Now, some of you may be open enough and comfortable enough to stay here while we hold. We're going to come in and out first, but just kind of know, and let's go ahead and let's move first, and that'll help you determine that. So bring the hands on the outer edges of your knees. Exhale, close. We're just going to do a little butterfly here. Inhale, open. So just noticing how open you may or may not feel right now. Right? And just finding acceptance of wherever you are. Exhaling, close. Inhaling, open. Spine is tall, core engaged. How does this feel today? Now you decide if you feel comfortable enough to just hold for maybe 5, 6, 7 breaths or so with the knees without any support underneath them. That's great. If you'd like to bring some support there, then the blocks are really nice. And the closer you bring the blocks in, the higher the knees lift. Okay? So you decide. And then the hands can rest on the ankles or on the knees. Either way, spine tall, core engaged, shoulders relaxed, and breathe. Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose. Really nice for bladder health, balancing hormones, and for men, this is really beneficial for prostate. And then we'll go ahead and slowly draw the knees close. Extend the legs out in front of you, shake that out a bit. And we'll find our way onto our backs again. We'll bring, make sure you have a block with you. And you could use a pillow or a blanket as long as it's not too high up. So we're going to take our blocks at their flattest level, just come into a restorative bridge pose here for a moment before Shavasana. Draw the shoulders underneath you, heart opens. You can place your palms on your belly if you wish. You want to make sure the block is positioned in such a way that it's not creating a back bend. So I'm really right down at my sacrum. I'm not up in my low back. It's down a bit lower. And I pick my tailbone up and tuck under, lengthening that out. The next option you have is to pick the feet up off the floor. Sometimes that feels really nice. Or even extending the feet to the ceiling. So taking a moment here, relaxing through the neck and the shoulders, breathing softly into the belly, continuing with that smooth, extended breath, inviting it into the belly. Open, expand, and contract. Let's take about 3 to 4 more breaths here. And then you're going to go ahead, if you've brought your legs up off the floor, place the feet back in the floor, remove the block. Just take a couple of breaths to feel the echo of that pose for a moment in the body. Draw the knees into the chest. Maybe rocking side to side, knee circles, knees to chest, knees wide. Just a little movement here, a way that feels right for you. And I'm going to invite you to get settled into your pose of Shavasana, extending the legs out along the floor, noticing if you'd like to place a blanket underneath your knees, maybe a blanket on you. Lying back, getting comfortable. As I take you through a guided breath work and meditation here to complete our practice together. Once you find you're settled into your Shavasana, just come into a nice smooth, or maintain that nice smooth, even breath we've been working with the whole practice. And I will say that you can stay with that breath here for the next couple of minutes instead of the pranayama I'm going to bring you into if it's more comfortable. Okay, so I'll leave that up to you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to invite you into a breath, a ratio breath samavriti, in which we're going to inhale 4, hold 4, and exhale 8. And then we're going to go right back into the inhale, and I'm going to guide you into this count. So you're welcome to try it, and then if it's uncomfortable or feels strained, you want to stop and just come back to your own smooth breath that's more comfortable. Right? So wherever you are with your breathing, go ahead and empty out completely. And then we'll inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Release the count. Find your own rhythm to your breath, whether that's soft and shallow or long and smooth. Pay attention to how you breathe. No judgment, just noticing. Feel the breath moving through the nostrils. Feel the chest rise and fall with each breath. Your attention resting on the chest rising and falling. Notice if you can see or sense your rib cage expanding as the diaphragm expands with each breath in. Notice if your belly rises and falls with the breath. Bring your attention into the belly and any movement you might be feeling there. Bring your attention and the breath to your third eye. And feel as if you're breathing through the area between the eyebrows. Taking the breath into the midbrain and back out. Staying here for a couple minutes in silence, breathing through the third eye. breath. Wiggle some fingers and toes. Rolling to one side, taking a breath or two there. And then finding your way to a seated position, bringing your palms together at your heart. Take a moment to acknowledge this time of self-care that you gave yourself. This was a gift. Gratitude for those who shared this practice with you this morning. And as always, I'm truly grateful to take the seat of teacher for you. Namaste.